Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Moskalensky Show, Show 2. In this show, we will be covering certain topics, some of which are controversial, all of which are controversial. But we'll get into those later. We'll start easy. Let's start with Star Wars. Now, I know this is kind of a dead floating boat, but people still do care, and frankly, so do I. In Star Wars, Episode 7, you can clearly, as you know, Rey, if you haven't seen it, you should probably skip to 15 minutes later, since this section will be only about who Rey's parents might be. If you haven't seen Episode 7 of Star Wars, um, it stars Rey, a young untrained Jedi stranded on a very Tatooine-like planet, and it shows her going throughout the galaxy. But a big mystery throughout the movie is who are Rey's parents. It gets into Kylo Ren, who is the Sith son of Han Solo and Leia, and it gets into some interesting war details. But there are some interesting things that I would like to bring up, kind of pointing things in certain directions. Now some people think that Rey. The three main theories are Rey is the child of Han Solo and Leia. Rey is the child of Obi-Wan, and Rey. I mean, other than we don't know who Rey's parents is. Other than that, and Rey is the child of Luke, Obi-Wan, Luke, and Han Solo and Leia. Now, all of these, not all of these, two of these, in my view, are credible theories. And you'd probably be surprised by which one I think it isn't. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, since we're talking about this. I think that there's just pretty much no way I can currently think of that Rey can be the child of Han Solo and Leia. We're taking your calls right now. If you completely disagree with me, if you do agree with me, or if you just want to contribute something entirely different to the conversation of who are Rey's parents, make sure to call in 719-284-5873. Then put in the PIN 24777. Once again, call the number 719-284-5873. Put in the PIN 24777. All right. Now back to why I think there's no way, other than like some completely lazy crap like mind erasing or something, something lazy that Disney might throw in. Why there is no logical way Rey can be the daughter of Han Solo and Leia, and that is because they would remember it. Kylo Ren might remember it. I understand why Rey wouldn't remember them, is because she was deserted, but Leia and Han Solo would remember her. Now, assuming Kylo Ren is older than Rey, and that's just an assumption, Kylo Ren would also remember, or Ben Solo, whatever you'd like to call him. But spoiler alert. But either way, Han Solo and Leia would remember having a second kid. And I guess Han Solo wouldn't, due to certain reasons that you can definitely spot in Episode 7. And spoiler alert, because of the fact that he's dead. But there's no reason. Like, why would Leia not say anything? If you think about it. I mean, there's no big secret. There's no real reason why not to tell her. Of course, Disney could be lazy and just be like, oh, it's just no one. It's one of the Jedi who died or something like that. Or it's just like she's the last child of the Force, meeting up with Luke and Han and Leia and everything. That's just coincidence. It's, yada, 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 destiny, the Force, etc., etc. I don't think they're going to do that, but I wouldn't put it past them. And that just leaves the factors of Obi-Wan and Luke. Now, some people would like to disown the Luke theory because Luke didn't say anything. That's because, and the reason, in my view, that Luke didn't say anything was because there were like 10 seconds or 15 seconds or something like that. They did that no-talk wide-angle shot where they just look at each other. It makes no sense. So that's one reason why a lot of people were debunking it. Obviously, she has extreme talent with the Force. And another interesting thing, Luke was always better with the Force than Leia. as seen in the original trilogy. Uh, Luke was always better with the Force, and you can see that that Rey in pure Force power is stronger than Kylo Ren, which is interesting because Kylo Ren is put in like training and this and that. So if Luke was stronger, and they both come from Darth Vader, or Anakin Skywalker and Padme, but if you think about it, I mean, obviously people can just randomly get the Force in Star Wars, but a lot of times it does have to do with genetics, considering both of Darth Vader's children had the Force, and one of Darth Vader's grandchildren had the Force. So I mean, obviously you could view it that way. I mean, it really depends on how you'd like to look at it, but in my view, that there's a very real possibility that Rey could be the child of Luke due to the strength of the Force going down genetically. Now, I'm not sure who Luke would marry, but we don't know all the details between the events of episodes 6 and 7. So, I mean, there was a period of peace that was mentioned. Like, it wasn't always like the First Order. It didn't come in 5 seconds after the Empire collapsed. It took a reasonable amount of time for the Empire to collapse. We're taking your calls right now. Make sure to call in 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. In case you didn't hear that, once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. All right, back to Star Wars. So that's one of the main reasons I think that Rey could be the child of Luke. Also, one of the fact that she could feel him on an entire planet is interesting. I mean, I know the map was involved and everything, but the fact that like she knew which mountains to climb up and everything, like a Force connection. But then again, a lot of Jedi have Force connections, so that could be just the fact of the Force. But then again, a lot of powers that come with the Force have to be taught. Even though it is a birth-given thing, a lot of these powers need to be taught. Think about that. So I don't really see any reason why Rey couldn't be Luke's child. Now, another interesting theory is Rey is the child of Obi-Wan. Now, age and everything, I mean, that is a bit of an unorthodox thing, but like, in the Star Wars universe and different ages of marriage and all that sort of stuff, it could happen. It could happen with aging. And it would make a lot of sense, because if you think about it, Rey is very skilled. She's very skilled with gadgets. She's skilled with lightsabers. She's skilled with the Force naturally. Which is a Force-given power. And this also adds to the theory that it could be Luke's child. But in the case with Obi-Wan, if you go back to the Star Wars, to the Clone Wars, and I believe the Clone Wars are canon. At one point, it shows that there is I believe it was the final queen of Mandalore before the Empire took it over. The current queen of Mandalore at the time was the lover of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it was definitely implied that there was a relationship even before they went down, and there was the whole deal with Darth Maul coming back. And I already gave you a spoiler warning. I'm not going to say that every 5 minutes. Although I will say it every 6 minutes. So there was that whole deal, and she was killed, again, assuming the Clone Wars are canon, which I believe they are, just like Rebels. And that provides an interesting thing to think about, because if there was a relationship X years before the events in the Clone Wars and where she died, she could have had a baby. She could have had a baby. And maybe not necessarily that would be Rey, because Rey would be like 60 at this point. But it could be, she could have had birth to the woman or guy who would marry the woman or guy who would have birth, or they would have birth to Rey while still having the powers of the Force. Because a lot of people do forget about like cross-generation stuff when it's not the case of the extremely main characters. We're taking your calls right now. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but Don't forget to call in if you'd like to, submit your opinion and everything. 719-284-5873. Once again, that number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Back to Star Wars. So those are the main three theories, maybe. Some people theorize that it could be the child of one of the Sith or something. I mean, let's be fair. If they're gonna do something like a much more dramatic kind of feel, I feel like that's what Disney would do. Something that would just make it just makes sense. I mean, for Disney, like, because Disney is very much in. I know I'm kind of going farther than the lore, but Disney is very much into I guess you could say genetics, if you will, kind of working with the family kind of thing. And that would really make sense for Disney to do. Now, some people, if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, it could be a deal where, like, well, we don't know if the Mandalorian Queen died. If you watch it, you can tell that the Mandalorian Queen had definitely died. I think it would be very cheap if they brought her back. But what I said could be a possibility, that before Obi-Wan became a Jedi, they fell in love. Could be a possibility, because we don't know that they kind of left Obi-Wan to a more mysterious. They kind of made Obi-Wan the mysterious character. And that's what makes Obi-Wan kind of interesting. They don't go a lot into Obi-Wan's past. They talk plenty into his past. They talk plenty about his future and what's going on with Obi-Wan currently. But they don't go a lot into what happened in his past. Sorry for the dramatic pause. Just wanted you to think about that real quick. And that pretty much narrows it down to those two options. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, who would Luke marry? Aren't Jedi not supposed to marry? That's true. Obi-Wan might have done it before he was a Jedi, but Luke had the training of Obi-Wan, Anakin, who was put into the movie unnecessarily in Episode 6, with that little deal that I don't know why so many people got triggered, and Yoda. He definitely got his judgment. But Luke was the last Jedi. What I mean by that is he doesn't have to follow the Jedi code. I know Luke is supposed to be, the White Knight, whatever. I'm trying to look at this, logically here, guys. Luke is supposed to be the White Knight, but he can make his own Jedi Order. That's actually what he did. If you look at the beginning of Episode 7, that's what he did. He made his own Jedi Order. And if he didn't feel like a rule was right, he alone had the power to change it. Because let's be fair, Leia isn't really a Jedi. Leia really wasn't a Jedi. Now, there is one thing that I know a lot of people are going to get triggered by. The fact that I want to bring this up in these final 3 minutes of this section. The fact that the Grand Admiral Thrawn series is canon. What I mean by this is the fact that it's canon really changes it up, because in the book, in the Grand Admiral Thrawn books, which I have read myself, and if you haven't read them yet, you cannot consider yourself a Star Wars fan. An absolute masterpiece of literature, all of them. So if you haven't read the Grand Admiral Thrawn books yet, make sure to go do so. Is the fact that during the book, Leia is pregnant, and her force powers, they work better pretty much. And she's pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl twin. And I believe this book came out before Episode 7, but was canonized after. But it still came out before Episode 7. I'm not sure of this, but I believe that's the case. So, the twins situation, and both of them came out. Now, they did have different names in the books, but, I mean, names can be changed, like for lack of publicity, like, they want to have a more private life, like that can definitely happen. But what happened to the girl twin, assuming the boy twin would grow up to be Kylo Ren? In this final section, we don't really have time to go into your calls for this particular section, but our next section, which will be more derived around news, it's about to start, so we can definitely take your calls there. The number is 719-284-5873. Once again, 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. 24777. All right, to wrap this section up, in conclusion, I still don't think it's their child for the fact that they would remember it, because anti-evidence is always stronger than evidence. That's just a fact. As for the Luke saying, I don't think Disney, for the purposes of like movie dramatizing, I don't think the movie would do anything like, oh, it turned out to be the Obi-Wan thing with all those loopholes. I don't think Disney would do that. I think it's going to be Luke's child, assuming they are not cheap and they go down to one of those three options. Anyways, this is a fantastic transition into our next section, which is going to be about, I don't really know if you should call it politics. I won't call it politics. It's more like news. It's more like news. This news is only a couple days old, but I know it's a couple days old, but it's still really important. And before I get into it, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. I know I've repeated this, but I really want to get some calls on this section. 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Once again, 24777. Now, to those of you unaware on the whole situation, I'm going to go over a brief overview since we have time, and I can go into the free-for-all section, assuming calls don't drag it out. So, as everyone knows, on November 8th, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in the Electoral College. A lot of people believed that it was the Russians, and they demanded an electoral recount. This happened to a certain extent, and the electoral recount went in Donald Trump's favor. Now, the majority, and you can believe whatever you want about this majority. I don't believe in this majority, but you can believe whatever you want about this majority. Voted for Hillary Clinton, at least the legal majority. So, as you know, there's a lot of pro-Trump, anti-Trump stuff, even months, and still after his election, like even half a year after that happened, that this is still going on. So fast forward a bit, Trump gets his cabinet, or President Trump gets his cabinet in place. He puts he gets a ton of people ready and does the whole 9 yards, but keeps former FBI Director James Comey, or at the time FBI Director James Comey, he still keeps him until several months later, in April, he suddenly decides to fire him. Now, a lot of people, primarily liberals, but a lot of people believed that the Electoral College was hacked by the Russians. There was no, and there still is no proof of this, but they believe that since Hillary won the majority vote, she would have won the Electoral College vote as well, which is typically the case. So and I don't know why specifically the Russians. It's an interesting, and that might be its own separate topic, as why not the Russians? Why not a country that was already at odds with America? Because the Democratic Party didn't really have a problem with Russia until November 8th. We're taking your calls right now before I go into much more recent things. 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin being 24777. So anyways, President Donald Trump fired FBI Director James Comey, former FBI Director James Comey, in April. And events went back and forth. People were debating. People were arguing. There were ties and links and this and that, but nothing conclusive until very recently, when former FBI Director James Comey decided to go to court and talk about it. And this is what happened 2 days ago. Now, on the whole, obviously there will be some extremists. But on the whole, it's pretty much been debunked, the fact that the Russians were not involved with the election. In fact, a lot of people thought that because FBI Director James Comey was getting close to something, that's why President Donald Trump fired him. Even though there was no investigation. Former FBI Director James Comey said that there was no investigation or no major investigation going into the Trump Russia conspiracy. And several other interesting things happened as well. There were a lot of leaks. There were a lot of classified leaks going on very recently. And there were two identities revealed of people who leaked. First of which is someone with the name Reality Winner. And no, that's not an alias. That they were actually born Reality Winner. The first name being Reality, last name being Winner. And trust me, I believe this was an alias as well. So Reality Winner, an extremist, just went around leaking stuff, but no one could really figure out like who gave it to her. Like some people thought it was the media, and so on and so forth. And the media did take hold of it, especially the New York Times. But this is a separate conversation that we'll get into later. But no one was really sure how she got this information, because this Reality Winner was nobody before this started. I mean, she was just another woman until the second person was identified. Former FBI Director James Comey was the second classified information leaker. He leaked classified information to the media. Classified it. It wasn't declassified. It's not like he leaked it as soon as it became declassified. This was still classified information that was leaked to the media, specifically the New York Times. And the media, some media, like the New York Times, did spin it. And FBI, even ex-FBI Director James Comey, during his court hearing, said that it was pretty much fake news. And whether or not people think New York Times is fake news on the whole or not is an entirely separate discussion, which I will not be going into today. So to continue, all of this stuff happens, and there's another thing that was revealed. Loretta Lynch tried to, Attorney General Loretta Lynch tried to impede upon the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. Now, if you don't know about Hillary Clinton's emails, a couple months ago, Hillary Clinton, it was found out that she had a secret server. She had a secret server where she got classified information, which was not government approved. And this was illegal. And she had over 30,000 emails on it. It might have been even, I believe it was 33,000 or so emails on this server. And someone found out about this, and they were about ready to take her to court. And these emails disappeared. Now, many people are under the assumption that it was hacked. But a majority of people believe, and I'm in this boat, that she deleted it and then feigned ignorance. Of course, we don't know for sure because there has been no official deal been signed. But the way it looks, I mean, 33,000 emails don't disappear. And it was discovered that there were professional scrubbing services used, as in stuff to scrub the data like it was never there, like a cleaner like a cleaner working for a criminal to hide some sort of evidence of a crime, something like that kind of. This was a service to do that. So, but in the end, Director James Comey, former FBI Director James Comey, deemed that Hillary Clinton was innocent, and she didn't get put away, and she still isn't. No charges have been pressed. This was simply because of Lynch. Now, ex-FBI Director James Comey originally wanted to go into this investigation more, or so he said. But he was under oath, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I will, in fact, trust former FBI Director James Comey because he was under oath. So she basically told him not to call it an investigation. And by the way, he was the director of the FBI at the time, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But Loretta Lynch told him to call it a matter, like a matter of not really importance, like just a matter, not an investigation for the service that undergoes investigation, a matter. And again, he said this under oath. Lying under oath is a very big thing, and I don't think with all the heat he's undergoing already, I don't think James Comey, I don't think Mr. Comey would have done that. Of course, I could be wrong, and if you think I'm wrong, make sure to call into the show 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Once again, call in the number 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Back into the news. So Loretta Lynch, attorney Loretta Lynch, she pretty much asked. Now she actually tried to impede James Comey, and Senator Marco Rubio, or former senator, I forget which, I believe he's senator, if he was asking questions, flat out asked Mr. Comey, why did you only decide to reveal this now? Because what Loretta Lynch did, I believe, is illegal, to try and impede an investigation. And he said he was afraid, pretty much. Up until that point, he didn't have the courage to do it. I can't paraphrase, but that was pretty much what he said. Of course, you can go cite everything I'm saying on YouTube. There's a terrific channel called Mark Dice. He made 3 videos on this. Highly recommend go checking him out on YouTube. He really covered it well. Continuing, but first, I want to make sure that there's not just one opinion. Make sure to call in 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Once again, 719-284-5873 if you prefer it that way, with the pin 24777. If you prefer it that way, that's how I'll start doing it. So pretty much James Comey kind of snuck out of that question, and he did it pretty well. And I'm sure he was, well, I'm not sure, but I believe he was telling the truth, because once again, he was under oath. Lying under oath is a horrible offense. I believe it's a capital offense. So if it's discovered that he was purposefully lying, that would be really bad for him. And that's pretty much the situation as it is currently. Another interesting detail is beforehand is the conversation. Some people still believe that some extremists still believe that there was a Trump-Russian collusion due only to this singular conversation, which I'm not sure if it was leaked or if it went out willingly. Either way, I might not paraphrase it, but I can get it as close as I can. So Trump, they're having dinner, and Trump tells Comey, I want loyalty. Comey replies, I can give you honesty. Trump replies, I want honest loyalty. Comey replies, I can do that. There are many different ways to interpret it. From a conservative point of view, you can view it as, well, I mean, Trump's just asking him, not to be a press freak and, leak information just for attention, which is why President Donald Trump said he fired James Comey. And it can just be viewed as, that liberals or Democrats can view it as Trump saying, I want loyalty, like undivided loyalty, as in, if I do something wrong, I still want the director of the FBI to have my back. And then James Comey, who at the time was hailed as a hero, and I'm very confused. I'm very confused at how the hailing is working, because I mean it's very back and forth between him being a hero and a villain. In the extremists' mind, I'm very confused by that. So if someone can explain to me like if overall how each party looks at James Comey, like overall, I'd love to hear that because it's very confusing because sometimes liberals and conservatives love him. Definitely when one loves, the other hates, and it can be very confusing at times. And I'm actually going to go into this for the free-for-all just a bit. I'll switch off to something else during the free-for-all because I'm just having way too much fun with this. So it was basically, it can be viewed as, Comey standing up to Trump and saying, like, I will be honest with you. Like, if you did something, I will expose it. And then Trump is asking for, like, can you kind of 50-50 it? And Comey's like, all right, I'll 50-50 it. I mean, you can look at it either way. We're just getting into our third section right now, which is the free-for-all section. So make sure to call in the number 719-284-5873. Once again, 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Again, 24777. All right, back to the show. So now that we're in our third section, free-for-all section, I just like to bring up the fact about how interesting this is. And this really reveals some interesting details. Like, a lot of people weren't sure if Loretta Lynch was or wasn't in on it. Like, people knew that the thing with Bill Clinton, the jet, like, pretty much everybody knew that was staged, like, the whole 9 yards. And that Loretta Lynch was defending Hillary Clinton, but people weren't sure if Loretta Lynch was actually trying to impede upon an investigation. Now, Mrs. Lynch wasn't, in her defense, she wasn't completely trying to silence it. It wasn't a Godfather kind of moment where it was like, you need to respect the family. If you don't respect the family, I kill you. It wasn't like that. I mean, some people say it's like that. That's just simply not true. She was trying to impede upon it, but she wasn't doing it to the point where it was, to the point where, like, it was pretty much blackmailing. If not, yeah, kind of like blackmail. Like, it wasn't to that point, because she didn't actually take any action against him. It was a threat. So it's more. I like to look at it like second-degree impeding. It's not good. There should be punishment, but it shouldn't be some horrible offense by Loretta Lynch. That's just my opinion. And if you'd like to give yours, make sure to call into the show. The number is 719-284-5873. The pin is 24777. Once again, 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. All right, we're back in the free-for-all section. Unless we're going to get some very interesting calls, I think we're going to move on for now. It would be very disappointing if I get an opinion on the stuff we were just talking about, like at 3:45 or 3:44 or something, or 3:46. That would be very disappointing, but got to do what you got to do. If people really enjoy this section, I will bring it back. I, for one, really enjoy this. I see that we're getting more viewers right now than we were before, which is really cool. So I think this section will be coming back at some point, maybe even on the next show. And by the way, since we're in the free-for-all section anyway, I just like to say real quick that next week we will sadly have to skip the show unless there is a change in schedule. The June 17th show will sadly have to be skipped. I have an event going on, but the June 24th show is still on. And I might make it 2 hours as a compensation. So, but maybe I won't. You know, you just gotta kind of keep your ears open because things will be happening. Make sure to go check out the Ben Moskalensky Show collection on Google Plus for any updates, and make sure to check out SoundCloud, because on SoundCloud, and if you're listening on SoundCloud, I'm sure you know this already. I am uploading the podcast every Wednesday, unless delayed. So if you want to listen to in your car without having to set up YouTube or Google Plus, hop on to SoundCloud. It's just whichever one you prefer using. The audio quality is going to be the same. I'm still going to be interacting with comments, and all details on both Google Plus, or I'm sorry, on Google Plus, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All right, so that will pretty much do it for that. I just want to give those real quick updates. We have 11 more minutes in this section. Well, 10 more minutes in this section. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. And I'll go slow in case anyone is having some audio issues. 719-284-5873. The pin is 24777. All right. Since I wasted enough time, going under that, one thing I wanted to bring up real quick is the fact that I have books. And there will be some much better books that I will be publishing pretty soon. But if you go to Amazon.com and look up my name, you'll see that I have multiple books. My most recent and the one I'm most proud of was uploaded December 27th. I will be uploading more this summer. I already have one of them ready. I'll be uploading at least two books this summer, maybe three if you're lucky. The Journal of the Survivor Florida is my most recent book. It's fully published, so make sure to go check that out. I might even consider doing a section. I could even talk about that today. And a big theory was a lot of people were curious about the trailer. So I might be going into that. I'm kind of undergoing things. If anyone is curious, a fair amount of people were asking about the fact that I'll be talking about YouTubers. I will be, but today I just wanted to start with the adpocalypse, because with people like FuzzyTube, I can milk him dry. I can completely debunk him without being offensive to him or any of his fans. I can even debunk each individual social experiment, his pranks, and why they do it to himself. Thanks to Colossal is Crazy. If you guys haven't seen Colossal is Crazy, make sure to go check him out on YouTube and his Baited podcast. So thank you to Colossal is Crazy for informing me on a very interesting situation. On this show, I like to look at both sides of a topic. I've looked at FuzzyTube's response, and I've weighed it in. And on almost every issue, Colossal is Crazy is correct. All but one. But that's its own separate conversation. We're taking your calls right now. The number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Now, one sad thing actually I'd like to talk about is the death of Adam West. If you guys didn't watch the original Batman show, he was, I believe, the very first actor to ever play Batman. It was in the old '60s shows for kids when he had the nice spandex on and everything. And sadly today, Adam West has died. He was born 1928 and he just died today. It's really sad. I liked Adam West as an actor. Not even that one movie, just in general. I liked Adam West in general. Some people wanted me to bring up Wonder Woman. I think I'll have that as one of my next sections, since by then I will have watched the movie. And there's an interesting thing I wanted to talk about with company policies between Marvel and DC. So if anyone wants to see that, make sure to let me know. I actually did get some people asking for that, so that will be one of the sections next time. And honestly, Adam West was always one of the faces of Batman for me, because now they're doing Batman's way too dark. We're just getting into this horrible, really depressing, sad news, like with Christian Bale. I mean, it's still good, but it's very, very sad. And that's just one thing that is really getting me down about the Batmans, because although they're still cool, there needs to be a balance between Christian Bale and Adam West, because Adam West was a bit too light in my view. The old original Batmans were just way too lighthearted. I mean, it's just not what Batman is. At one point, it was just perfect. Like around the 90s and the 2000s, they had enough edginess to be edgy, but also enough lightheartedness to still be kid-friendly. Because now we're getting like comic book movies that are being rated R, like Killing Joke, Deadpool. I think the Daredevil show, both seasons of it on Netflix. I mean, it's just this is primarily for kids, and now they're making about nostalgic fat 40-year-olds. I mean, it's just this isn't what the series was meant for. This was meant for like kids who would run home from school every day, be it elementary, middle, or high, or even college, uh, and just want to relax, have lunch with the family, and then before going to sleep and doing homework, have fun reading comics and talking with friends. That's what it was originally meant for. And now, and originally it was to the point where it was just cheesy, but it was still interesting. And around the 90s and 2000s, it really was at its full potential. And in the 2010s and probably going forward, it's becoming this unnecessarily rated R, uh, politically. Some of them are just like beyond weird, have like weird messages. Which is just weird in my view. Which some of them even contradict themselves. Like they have some of the movies have like PC messages, and then they do some stuff that could be viewed as racist. I mean, it's just really sad what it's turning into, and it's pretty much defaming the memory of people like Adam West, in my opinion. Um, so. I mean, in the very unlikely event that any even somewhat high-level working official from either DC or Marvel is watching this, you need to get your head back on straight. I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. A lot of people are saying this is DC's best movie in a really long time. And with the whole story with Gal Gadot, which I will be getting into once again, um, and it's horrible what's been happening to her. I've even experienced some of the racism myself, or some of the anti-Semitism online for just showing support for the movie. Not even I've made separate posts talking about like why I support her, but I'm just even talking about supporting the movies and posting pictures. People have just come at me with all kinds of like anti-Semitic stuff, um, which is just horrible in my view. But that's its own separate thing. I'm gonna make that. I'm definitely making that a topic on the next show, despite what people want. I'm gonna be doing that anyway. Anyways, if you like, I know I'm getting a bit preachy here, but anyways, if you want to call in, the number is 719-284-5873. Once again, 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. And if you didn't hear that, it's 24777. I'm probably drilling this into your head at this point, and trust me, it's getting drilled into mine as well. With 4 minutes remaining until the next section, I just kind of like to summarize by saying we need to go backwards. I know that sounds kind of weird, but we really do. And not even the comic books and movies. I'm talking about things in general. Things are just getting way too out of hand in everything. People are trying to be way darker, way edgier than things should actually be. We need to go backwards to a certain extent, but not much. We need to go backward a decade or two. We shouldn't go back to like, I even mean this on a society level, actually. We shouldn't go back to the 50s, where movies were in black and white, everyone was racist, and all these different things were happening. I'm talking about to the 90s, or the 2000s, when like things in this area were just better, at least in the degree of comic books and movies. I don't know how the death of an actor who played Spandex Batman turned into this huge philosophical debate with myself about society. But if you don't want it to be a debate about myself, make sure to call in 719-284-5873. Once again, 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Okay, but yeah, I think I might even be bringing back the political section next time, or the news section. I want to call it the news section. I'm not really. It's not exactly the Michael Medved show. I'm much more bipartisan in that section, and I'm not going to be covering anything really heavy in that section, like the whole deal with Ariana Grande and Katy Perry. I'm not going to be doing that. Don't worry. So I think that should pretty much wrap up this section. I know we still have a couple minutes left, but I mean, in general, we just need to stop. We need to stop making things better when there's no room for it to be better. We need to just people at this point. People are focusing more. This is a problem on YouTube as well, but this is a separate conversation about like clickbait and misleading titles and what the purpose of YouTube is at this point. Today it's purely the apocalypse. In the next minute. But people just need to stop trying to make things better than they are. We just need to start. We need to start appreciating things again instead of trying to glorify and make it way better. We just need to start appreciating things again. Instead of just trying to put it on this unbelievable pedestal and polish it and this and that to the point where, I mean, it just ruins itself. We should just enjoy things again. And this applies for video games, this applies for movies, this applies for life in general. Stop worrying so much about the nitty-gritty details. Focus on making good content. Even in your own life. Like, don't focus. I know I'm sounding a lot like Fuzzy2, very preachy here, but don't focus on these little itty-bitty nitty-gritty details. We just gotta aim higher. Anyways, this is possibly the most philosophical section I've ever had and will ever have. We're gonna get into the YouTube adpocalypse. If you don't know about that, I'm about to get into it. But don't forget to call in 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777 for our final section. Now jumping back into it. So to those of you who don't know, YouTube is one of, I'm sure you know about YouTube, but YouTube at this point is in the top 3. I believe it might even be the second biggest social media service, period. YouTube is absolutely massive, and it's even more incredible considering the fact that YouTube is only meant for videos. Whereas number 1, which I think is Facebook, you can post pretty much anything. You got polls, you got pictures, you got videos, links, etc. On YouTube, you can only post videos, and it's still number 2, only beaten by Facebook, I think. But right now, YouTube is going down a dark hole, and the adpocalypse is just like, I don't want to say the final nail in the coffin, but it's more like engraving the coffin. This whole adpocalypse thing. Right now, people are getting there. Right now, a lot of political. I'm not going to get into this myself, but a lot of people are getting much more politically opinionated. As an example, until March, I didn't really care about anything related to anything political. Like not George W. Bush, not Barack Obama, not Hillary. Not either of the Clintons. I didn't really care about it. I cared more about coming home to my grandma's mashed potatoes. And I didn't really get interested in this until I saw the debate with, I believe it was the first debate when they just kicked off Ben Carson, with Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and John Kasich. So I got really interested on the conservative side, and I had to side more with people on that general side. Like as an example, at the time, I was more in favor of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and I was pretty much between them until John Kasich and Ted Cruz kind of teamed up. Then I went full with Trump, and I also was really interested in the opposite opinion, which is why I started listening to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton debate. And ever since, I've just been getting more and more interested, and I've been expanding my horizons. And by the way, you should too. If you think, oh, politics is boring, no, it isn't. Don't label something as boring just because of one example. You need to try it for yourself and actually see something. And I should stop getting preachy again. And companies are doing this too, by the way, getting much more politically opinionated. It's because of this election, probably. It's been an amazing election year. And YouTube is owned by Google, which is a much more left-leaning company. So YouTube is becoming very PC, even at the corporate level. And at one point, there was first there was a video called the Jew World Order. I believe it was like New World Order, but with Jews. It was like a neo-Nazi propaganda video. And this first part makes sense, and it was monetized. And some company, like some people were complaining on Twitter and saying like, "Oh my gosh, your ads are on this." I think it was some car company, one of the big ones. And the car company was like, "Oh my gosh, we can't lose 5 customers. We need to pull our ads." The thing is, they didn't just pull their ads from this video; they pulled their ads from YouTube. So from pretty much almost every video, this one company started pulling ads. Now, nobody really cared about this. There were a couple videos from smaller YouTubers. This is kind of a interesting thing because no big companies really said, this was one of the biggest car companies, I think. So no big companies were really quitting YouTube, but it wasn't that big of a deal until someone uploaded a Minecraft animation with marijuana in it, or marijuana references. This video, okay, in YouTube, one of YouTube's policies is if you do XXX, then you can stay. If you do XXX, then your video would get age restricted but not removed. Most people don't use age restriction. Even kids, like I never used age restriction, and I've never really had a problem with running into spam stuff because I know where to look at this point. So you get like 10 or 20% of the views you'd otherwise get if your video is age restricted. And if you do XXX, then your video is just completely removed, and you get what is known as a strike on your channel. If you get 3 strikes on your channel, it gets removed. At one point, I got a strike, an automated strike, which was falsely done, and it still isn't removed. But I only have the 1 strike. I had to be careful with music, so that's why whenever I did Let's Plays after the fact, there's really bad audio because I was very careful not to get another strike. And I haven't since. I'm 1 strike and that's it. And even if you delete the video, your strike stays. You can repeal your strike. You could try to repeal your strike, but sometimes they just won't let you. So I have 1 strike, and that's pretty much it on mine. And if you do it 1 time, then it's like you kind of get a slap on the wrist. If you do it another time, you get a 3-day suspension. And then if you have 2 strikes. If you get a 3rd strike, you have your channel deleted within like 3 weeks if you can't prove yourself to be innocent. So this video got striked, of course, and the creator got banned and everything by YouTube. And this is where it kind of began. And this was also monetized. A ton of companies started pulling ads from YouTube. And at first, people were like, oh no, these are like some big companies are leaving. We're getting to the point now where pretty much everyone is leaving. I mean, I don't have to worry about this because my stuff isn't monetized anyway, and I might start monetizing it, but it's still not a big issue for me. It's not an issue at all for me. But for some of my favorite content creators, this can be a huge deal. See, for creators like H3H3, best anime, by the way, who have 4 million subs, I want to say, and on their other channel they have like 1 million. Overall, like around 5-ish, 6-ish. And they have like podcasts. So yeah, all around like whatever, 6 million subscribers. They'll be fine. They will survive this apocalypse. They have their own problems with the H3H3 debacle. That can be its own section. So they will be fine. They got 6 million subscribers. People on the level of, I want to say, 600,000 subscribers and up, as long as they don't suddenly start dropping for some reason, they'll be fine. But like the new content creators, like the people who are trying to raise, like a lot of good commentators or just a lot of good content creators in general, who have like 100,000, 70,000, 200,000. Like they're just starting a fan base really, and they're just barely getting enough to live. And like I've heard of like some examples, like this one YouTuber, I'm Alex. He dropped out of college. He couldn't maintain both, and this apocalypse is screwing him over. Because he only has about 100-ish thousand, 150-ish thousand subs. And it's screwing him over because he dropped out of college. He really felt passionate about YouTube. And he started getting traction at around the point when this apocalypse thing started. And some of these like really PC channels aren't being affected at all. Or practically not at all. Like they're keeping 90 to 95% of their old ad revenue. But if you look at channels that even somewhat stand up to the ad revenue thing, to the PC thing, even somewhat that aren't just completely PC, they're losing horrible amounts. I think at one point, I'm subscribed to a news channel on YouTube. I'm not going to say which one. I'm not going to say if it's obviously pretty much everyone's subscribed to Philly B. I mean, let's be honest here. No one really dislikes Philly B. Well, some people do, but that's its own drama. But I like Philly B. But between John Scarce and your boy Keemstar, I'm not going to tell you which one I'm subscribed to and which one I'm not. You guys are going to have to guess on that one. I'm going to make my own video talking about that, like which one I'm sub to, which one I support, and why I don't like the other one. But I'm subscribed to a YouTuber, and they're both men, so either way. He made a video, Twitter video, saying, like, at this point, I've lost 40% of my ad revenue, and I think at this point it's worse. Now, I'm not going to tell you if this guy has 2 or 3 million, but he's around 2 or 3 million subscribers on his news channel, because, again, I want this to be private for now. You can find this out on my Google Plus, probably, but I want to get into my own separate debate on which one of them I like. Got 2 or 3 million subscribers. He will be fine. But I heard about one of his friends, this one YouTuber, and this guy has his own job, so for him it's not a big deal. And he actually, I can't say that. No, only one of them has that. But one of his friends, YouTuber, about 400,000 subscribers. Luckily, he has a job. But if he didn't, he'd be broke. He is getting 4%. At this point, I think it's a bit better now. Now I think it's almost 10%. But let's just round off. Maybe it's a bit higher, maybe there's exaggerations. Let's just say it's 10 or 15%. He is getting 10 or 15% of what he originally got before this adpocalypse. The content creators are dying. I mean, and what happens, and now, like, the only way to get ahead on YouTube is to step on everyone else's toes. You need to do whatever you need to do to get ahead. You need to do whatever you need to do to get more subscribers, to get more views. You put explicit things in the or nearly. You gotta get 1 millimeter of non-explicit in the thumbnail, and that's okay. Because if you align with YouTube's political views, then they'll be okay. You put with like a ton of arrows, flashing colors, a clickbait title. Some are worse than others. Like some are just misleading. Like what's an example? Like my old commentaries. I used to do commentaries, which I hated because there was so much editing involved. Where like I'd have titles like the edgiest cosplayers on planet Mars, or like the worst Snapchat in New Zealand, or crap like that. Like like funny, misleading stuff. Like everyone knows it's fake. It's like the thumbnail something completely different. Ha ha ha. Some people flat out lie. There's this one YouTuber, the Gamer J, the Pro Gamer J, I believe it is. What he would do is, on a couple videos, he would make like he would legit look up the color red, put it in as his wallpaper, and in all caps, he would have the title, if you don't see red, you're colorblind. He would make you think you're colorblind. He'd make you click on the video, ask you what to do, or like, you need to see a doctor if you don't see blue, and he puts blue in the thumbnail. And this is the level it's gotten at YouTube. This guy has millions of subscribers. And at this point, very few good content creators are very popular. I can't think of a single YouTuber that I'm subscribed to with over 10 million subscribers. Okay, I shouldn't say I hate. I dislike Jacksepticeye. Well, I can't say I hate PewDiePie and Markiplier. This I can say that. KSI, I'm just not a fan. I have nothing against the guy. I'm not a fan. FoozyTube, I also got to put him in the hate category. Okay, I like Smosh, but not really. I'm not to the point where I subscribe to them. It's just I kind of like them somewhat. And I only actually really like their gaming channel, because they're definitely aligning with YouTube's political views just to get that nice ad revenue. College Humor is becoming BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed is BuzzFeed. So like I can't really side with them there. And the list goes on and on. All my favorite content creators have either a couple hundred a couple 100,000 or about 1 million-ish subscribers. Because all the really popular content creators, or the rising to the top content creators, they're all doing some crap. They're all doing crap. I mean, the only person who I'm subscribed to the person with the highest amount of subscribers who I'm subscribed to, who is into this kind of thing, is RiceGum, and I'm not kidding. I'm not subscribed to Leafy or Pyro or so on, but I am subscribed to RiceGum because the character he plays in his video is hilarious. It's so funny watching a Rice Gum video. Um, so I am actually subscribed to Rice Gum. But this adpocalypse is just screwing over a ton of good YouTubers. And YouTubers who put like no effort and just extend the video to 10 minutes to put on multiple ads, they're getting away with whatever they want. Anyway, sadly, we got more traction on our other show than in this one. I don't think I'm gonna scrap this episode, but because I do think it was a good episode, but sadly we didn't get any calls unless I'm gonna get a call in sometime under the next minute. Thank you for everybody who's gonna join me via the comments, though. Everyone's gonna comment in, reshare this video, listen to it, give support, give opinions. I really do appreciate that stuff. I did actually get some. I did get some debate going last time on the subject of Comey, and I think we get more on this one. I also got some people talking about. I didn't really get many people talking about movies or education, but I did get people talking about gaming and Comey, and I'm really happy about that. And I hope I hope this show will gain traction, and it'd be awesome if I could get a radio deal one day, but I won't jump ahead of myself. Thank you everybody so much for joining me. I'm out of time. Once again, I will be skipping next week's show, most likely, but I might be making a 2-hour special the week after that. Thank you everybody once again so much for joining me. I really do like doing these, and I will see you soon. I know I'm sounding preachy, but I really do appreciate this. I really do like doing this. So thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.